Breaking: Trump to announce massive plan to make America great again next week. In an interview with the Associated Press, President Donald Trump announced that he was going to be unveiling his long-awaited tax plan next week, calling it a massive tax cut that will be bigger, I believe, than any tax cut ever. Trump added that it would be unveiled on Wednesday or shortly thereafter, which would put it just days short of his 100th day in office. On Thursday, Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin also announced that major tax reform was on the way soon from the administration. According to NBC News, Mnuchin's statement was one of the reasons behind a 200-point jump in the Dow Jones Industrial Average. While the administration had initially set a target of August to pass tax reform, Mnuchin now says he's looking to get it passed by the end of the year. Trump's pledge to reduce and simplify taxes was one of the most visible and ambitious proposals the president made during his 2016 campaign. Trump proposed the American tax code be simplified to only include four brackets: 0%, 10%, 20%, and 25%, and said that no American business from a Fortune 500 to a mom-and-pop shop to a freelancer living job to job, will pay more than 15% of their business income in taxes. According to Fox News, Mnuchin said Thursday that the plan would cut $2 trillion in taxes over a decade, certainly not small change. To former Republican presidential candidate and notable tax hawk Steve Forbes, that's a very good thing. I think he's recognized that if he doesn't get this economy moving in a way that people visibly feel it, he and the Republicans are going to be in deep trouble next year, Forbes said in an interview with Fox Business News. However, he said the president would need to push to get it quickly through a sometimes balky Congress. When you make an investment, it doesn't mean the building rises up the next day, or the factory rises up the next day, or the services are available the next day, Forbes said. It takes time to make these things happen. Why aren't they realistic about how the world works? Whatever the case, let's hope that tax reform works out a lot better than the first try at Obamacare's repeal did. The Trump administration needs to get on with making America great again in a big way. Please like and share on Facebook and Twitter if you support tax reform. What do you think should be in Trump's tax plan? Scroll down to comment below. U.S. Navy redesigning brand new submarine for one purpose only. The U.S. Navy is redesigning its new submarines, and the reason why might surprise you: it's modifying the interior of the warships to accommodate the needs of female crew members. Submarines used to be constructed with the needs of men in mind, but that is soon going to change, according to the Associated Press. Now that more women are serving aboard the vessels, their needs will also be considered, defense contractor Electric Boat told the AP. The sub-fleet began accepting female officers in 2012 and female enlisted personnel in 2014, according to The Hill. Electric Boat will redesign the Navy's Virginia-class fast attack subs and Columbia-class ballistic missile submarine. Both vessels will be constructed with male and female body measurements in mind. We have a clean sheet of paper, so from the ground up, we'll optimize for both men and women, said Brian Wilson, director of the new ballistic missile sub-program for Electric Boat. The optimizations include more doors and washrooms, which will create separate sleeping and bathing areas for women for additional privacy. Other modifications include seat adjustments so everyone can reach controls and joysticks. Valves in certain areas will also be lowered and steps will be added in certain places so everyone can access the tools or equipment they need. Overhead valves will be made easier to turn. The USS New Jersey, the first submarine built with the new features, was expected to join the fleet in 2021. Electric Boat officials did not share an estimate of how much the modifications would cost the Navy. To accommodate women, the Navy has already created signs for bathroom doors to indicate whether a male or female is using the facility. So far there's no word on how the Navy would deal with bathrooms for transgender people. One of the first women to serve on board a submarine, Lieutenant Marquette Levy, said that at 5 feet 6 inches she didn't have many problems reaching valves and other equipment, but that the changes would benefit shorter women. One would assume that up until this point, shorter men simply had to deal with it. Watch, Trump issues powerful new warning to China, Americans are cheering. President Trump is quickly becoming the most powerful force on the world stage, returning America to the position of prominence we once enjoyed. In a memo signed and released yesterday, President Trump promised to protect American steel producers. "We're going to use American steel, we're going to use American labor, we are going to come first in all deals," said the president. Steel imports have risen almost 20% since February of last year, hurting domestic producers. Wilbur Ross, the Secretary of Commerce, is being directed to launch an investigation to determine if China and other countries are dumping steel into our economy and undermining our national security. Dumping is an aggressive pricing policy where a foreign country will lower the price of a good they sell to drive out competitive or hurt foreign markets. China has been long suspect of dumping steel. Sales of shares in steel companies are soaring as a result of the announcement. The stock value of steel manufacturers have increased by up to 10% for some companies. U.S. Steel released a statement praising the decision. In the statement, they accused China of committing economic warfare against the United States while distorting global markets. U.S. Steel blamed China for the destruction of supply chains, which resulted in the loss of tens of thousands of American jobs and the closure of multiple production plants. Changes in the importation of steel would replace the lost jobs and continue to generate new employment opportunities. The Trump administration said they would not ban foreign steel imports, but they are considering the use of tariffs. If foreign countries are subsidizing their steel industry, then we would need to impose tariffs on imports to restore the fair market cost of steel. The memo was issued as the Dow Jones was already in an upswing and traders prepare for favorable new tax policies. The memo also confirms President Trump's commitment to restoring American manufacturing and providing much-needed jobs. Do you think we should impose tariffs? Please share the story on Facebook and tell us what you think because we want to hear your voice. Red alert, third superpower enters NK escalation with massive wave of tanks. Tensions on the Korean peninsula just ratcheted up another notch or two as word has emerged of a third superpower massing military troops and equipment near the perennial hot spot. According to the UK Daily Mail, there are reports of the Russian military moving large amounts of tanks, armored vehicles, artillery, helicopters and troops toward the short but strategic border Russia shares with the rogue regime of North Korea on the east coast of Asia. The news, which was based on videos and local media reports of equipment moving by air, rail and road, came just days after similar reports emerged of the Chinese military massing troops, equipment and vehicles near their own much longer border with North Korea, and was thought to be in preparation of impending action against the internationally condemned communist regime. The biggest worry is said to be the potential for thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of North Korean refugees flooding north into China and Russia if the regime of Kim Jong-un is attacked. There are also worries that a strike against North Korea could trigger some type of nuclear accident or explosion, resulting in a radioactive cloud drifting into Russia toward the major military base and port city of Vladivostok, only 100 miles away from the border. Railway trains loaded with military equipment moving towards Primorsky region via Khabarovsk have been noticed by locals, Russian military veteran Stanislav Asinitsin said on Russian news outlet Primemedia.ru, according to the International Business Times. The video shows artillery systems that either support troops in assault or meet the aggressor. The movement of military equipment means that authorities of our country are keeping up with the situation, and take appropriate measures, he continued. If the situation worsens, especially related to military events, the armed forces of all the neighboring countries obviously monitor it more closely, and we are no exception. It is not the first time that North Korea has broken the peace in the region, that's why this situation deserves attention, Sinitsin added. However, The Russian military declined to comment on the movement other than to say that exercises in the region had recently concluded, while Radio Free Europe Radio Liberty reported that the Kremlin would only state that troop movements inside Russia were not a public matter. Meanwhile, the United Nations Security Council finally got around to condemning the North Koreans' latest illicit missile test launch, which was in violation of several prior UN resolutions, in a surprisingly unanimous statement after both China and Russia were convinced to support the measure. Please share this on Facebook and Twitter to help spread the word that it now appears Russia has joined in on preparing for action against North Korea. What do you think of the reports of Russian military moving toward the border with North Korea? Scroll down to comment below. Finally, Trump just picked up his phone and did the one thing Obama never could. President Trump just proved to the world why he's already a 10 times better president than Obama ever was. On May 1, 2014, a 30-year-old Egyptian-American humanitarian worker, Aya Hijazi, and her husband, Mohammed Hussein, were imprisoned by the Egyptian government while working with disadvantaged children in Cairo. Obama attempted to negotiate their release for 2 years, but being the terrible president he was, he failed. Lucky for them, President Trump came to the rescue. Using his superior negotiating skills, Trump was able to do in 3 weeks what Obama failed to do in 2 years. Trump personally negotiated their release back to America. They're coming home and they thank Trump saving their lives. We're very grateful that President Trump personally engaged with the issue. Working closely with the Trump administration was very important for my family at this critical time. Let us be reunited as a family.